Welcome back, friends. Mark Peotter here. This is another video about recording with your digital DAW. And today's video is going to be trying to give you reasons and examples of why you need compression during your recording. I don't mean adding compression after you're done recording. I mean while you're tracking, you want a compressor. And I highly recommend an outboard rack-mounted type of gear. Do not use the compression that's in the DAW. So let's get started. Well, first of all, I think it's important to explain attack, decay, sustain, release. Now, these concepts are critical if you are working with synthesizers and keyboards, especially when you're trying to edit them. But I think it's important to just have a rough idea. The attack, decay, sustain, release is called your envelope. So this is going to be the volume level from low to high. This is a representation of time from beginning to end. And what I'm going to draw is just one sound. Okay, so when the sound begins, it has an initial impact, right? An initial ta. Okay, we call that the attack. Okay, so the attack is just the beginning of the sound, basically from here to here. And at the height of the attack is normally the loudest point of the sound or the note that's being played. Now we have the decay, and decay can be rounded or it can be sharp, but it's definitely going to go down significantly, and it's going to go down rapidly. The decay often goes down about at the same speed of the attack. Okay, and we call that from here to here, we call that the decay time or the decay. Okay, and then after the decay there comes some time when the sound is maintaining a level, and that's pretty much the note or the sound that you think about when you say, oh, he's playing a C, oh, he's playing a D. You're thinking about the sustain portion of the sound. Okay, so the sound is lingering, and then at some point it starts to fall away and disappear, and we call that the release. Okay, the release might be quick, it might be slow, it might be really sudden because the performer stopped the sound, you know, with his hands or his breath or something. And so that amount of time in here is called the release. And so there you have it, the ADSR envelope. The reason why you want compression while you are recording is because of these attacks. So if you can lower some of these attacks, then the music sounds smoother to the ears and it's more pleasing. But not only that, you also have the potential to raise the entire floor of the music up and make it louder. Okay, something else that I want to mention about this envelope of the attack, decay, sustain, release is that when we look at this in the DAW, in the computer, we're going to see it as its own mirror image. So it's going to look a little bit more like this, like a two-dimensional surface like that, and then a release like that. Because in the DAW, this is all black, you know, this is all colored in. Okay, so it's going to look a little closer to that. The clean guitar is going to look like this inside the DAW. It's got a really sharp, strong attack, a very fast decay, like that. It's got very little sustain and a release, and it looks like that. The distorted guitar, or overdrive, adds a lot of sustain, so it's going to look more like this. We're going to have a sharp attack and a fast decay, but then we're going to have lots of sustain right there, and then followed by a release. Okay, so this is what I use personally. The Focusrite Claret 8 Pre, this is my analog to digital converter, and this is after the compression. The compression is provided by the DBX. It's mono, meaning it only takes one channel or one wire. So I got two of them. That way I can have left and right channels, stereo left and right. Your compressor may be different than this, of course, but there's going to be some similarities, and that's what I want to point out right now. Now over here, this is really important. This is the level going in to the unit. Okay, so the level of the instrument or the microphone is determined here. Okay, and then there's some little LED lights here to tell you if you're out of control. You want to be like approximately the -10 to the 0, and you do not want to go over into the clip area. This is a 20 dB pad, meaning it lowers the input by 20 dB. This is great when you have a very sensitive microphone like my Neumann 103. I use it for that microphone, and I do not use it for the other microphones like a Shure SM58. Over here we have 4 knobs to describe the equalizer section, and this is a preamp to the compression. Alright, then we have the compression part of it. The threshold is your selection of at what point does this compressor start to become active. Moving the dial to the left means that most or all of your input will be compressed. If you turn this knob all the way to the right, it is possible that none of your input will be compressed. What you should do is start with the knob toward the left and then move it slowly to the right. As you move the dial to the right, you will find that sweet spot of compressing only those sharp attacks. And then over here, this is the other real important part of the compression unit. It's called, on this one it's called gain reduction. Okay? On some other units it might be called compression. So the gain reduction has numbers or ratios such as 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, 4 to 1, and so forth. Really, this is the compression knob. The gain reduction means that when you turn it over here to the left, or let's say it's under 2 to 1, that means you are not compressing the signal very much. Okay? 2 to 1 means exactly what you think. It means we're cutting it in half. So if the peaks were here, they're now down here. Okay? They're not nearly as loud. The more compression you use, meaning the higher this number, the more similar or steady the output is to the ears. Now, musically speaking, you don't want it to be completely even, completely steady, okay, because that would be unpleasant, that would be boring. And then the last knob over here is also super important to the compression. This is your output level. Okay? Now the output level is critical because that needs to be just at the right amount so that you're giving a lot of signal to your computer, but you're not giving it too much signal so that it sounds distorted.